All right. All right, boys. Je juste record ça vite vite pour vous expliquer les boys qui trade le crude. I'm going to speak in English just because I'm going to post it. Very important for anyone trading crude oil to look at the DOE inventories on a Wednesday. Every Wednesday of the week, of every week, you have inventory figures being released, essentially on the basic of economics. More supply, same demand brings the price down, and vice versa. Less supply with the same demand bring the price up. As we know, we have other components to it. We have the demand cycle. If we're during the winter period, which is what's happening now, you tend to have less demand. So some factors can also change it. Also, you have to look at the subcomponents when it comes to Cushing crude oil inventories and gasoline production. Right, really, really correlated with gasoline. Sometimes, let's say you would have a big downtick in inventories on the crude side, but you would have an increase on the gasoline side and an increase in the Cushing. Therefore, the trade wouldn't be so straightforward. The trade wouldn't necessarily be to buy that dip as heavily, just because correlation wouldn't be that straightforward, right? So sometimes, some days the trade isn't as clean, some other days it's very clean. Now, very important to remember, very similar to how NFP is released, you have the day prior on Tuesday, the ADP weekly crude oil stock being released, right? So Tuesday afternoon, every Tuesday afternoon of every week, you have a private survey being released, which is the pre-DOE for the Wednesday morning at 10:30. That gives you a good estimate of what's going to happen on that day, right? So you guys were asking me what's happening with crude. Well, first of all, no surprise at all that we're seeing this big downtick, right? Essentially, yesterday at 4 p.m. right here, we had inventory coming up at 9.047 million. The expected was 1.5 ish, and it came at 9. So a shitload, pardon my language, a shitload more of inventories for the same demand. What happens? You guys said it earlier. Bring the price down. So the trade yesterday, because this is a massive discrepancy. We're not talking like 2.5 mil, 9 million. Okay, I haven't traded it in a while, but this was very clean. 9 million. This is a sell. Okay. Additionally, which is extremely important to also take a look at, you need to look at the higher time frame, right? Looking at a higher time frame, let's say you look on a monthly, you're in a sell the rally environment, right? You had this nice dip being bought at the end or midsummer, big rejection here. That's when like the whole war happened, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're in a sell the rally environment, right? So anyone that was trying to buy the dip for some reason got shaken out really heavily. Very dumb play to try to buy the dip, especially with the yesterday's figures. But anyway, we have on higher time frame a nice little gap as well right here, gap in volume. You see, it's really hard to see right now because it's like super tiny, but you have a nice gap in volume, nice little fake out. As you guys know, crude loves to fake out. So you have this, you can even draw it like this instead. You have a nice little volume gap, so no volume at these levels. Nice little fake out, and DOE happened to be right here, right? So sell the rally environment on higher time frame. Okay. API weekly crude yesterday afternoon extremely higher than expected. So more inventory, same demand, bring the price down. Big sell, big sell. That was a beautiful trade for anyone that wanted to take that. This is a mix of higher time frame, a mix of technical analysis with with volume profile, with rejection from the fibs, a mix of the fundamental of the inventory, and now you see massive sell off. It's funny because even before I told you guys about API, we saw that big downtick. Now that I'm seeing a 9 million increase, I'm not even surprised one second of that big downtick, right? So now it's going to be the question is what's going to happen to the figures at 10:30. Now the expectations are not of 1.6, right? That's what you need to understand. Yesterday expectation were around 1.1, sorry, because of the API was also around 1.1, 1.5. Now the expectation is way higher. So that's why you need to trade it very differently. Now the expectation is not 1.6. The expectation is not 3.5. The expectation is like 8 or 7 million, right? So if we come below 1, if we come below 3, we're going to have a fucking huge, huge, huge rally. Okay? Mark my words. We'll try to see it, okay? So if we come below 1, we're coming right here. Okay? That's what's going to happen. If um if we go in okay, that's where people are going to get shaken out. That's so cool. Okay, I'm pretty fired up. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write a note. Okay. DOE figures release. It's a great exercise, guys. I'm going to reduce the size of the font. Okay, so DOE release. Because of API coming out at 9.047, much higher than expected, right? Now the expectation is not 1.16. Okay, the expectation is more 7, 8, 9 million. Okay, because of the private survey. Now, if DOE is smaller than 1.16, 1.2 million, buy heavy. Okay, if DOE is bigger than 1.2, I'm going like this. If DOE is bigger than 1.2, but smaller than 3.5, this is when it's going to be interesting. Okay? Because people are going to think I'm buying the dip. Okay? People are going to be, I'm going to sell the rally, sorry. Because it's higher, so supply would be higher than 1.6. Let's say it comes in at, I don't know, 2.5. Okay? People are going to be like, oh, I'm selling. But the expectation is not 1.6. The expectation is not 3.5. The expectation is the 9 million that happened yesterday, right? So what you want to do is that you want to buy the dip. Okay. Now, if you have 3.5 plus, it's bigger than 3.5. But I have to do this like this. DOE is bigger than 3.5, but smaller than 7 million. Let's say 6 million. This is when it gets tricky. This is where this one is going to be tricky. I won't like this. This one, I don't like it. I don't like that one because you can get screwed really heavily. And then if you have, if DOE is bigger than 7 mil, then it's going to be, this is keep shorting, sell rallies, sell, just sell, anything above. So something like this. All right. So that's going to be super interesting. Let's see. That's so the main point is anyone trading DOE. Now, remember, expectations are not of 1.6. Expectation are north of 5, 6, 7 M, right? So that's where anyone that doesn't know that gets really gets really fucked. Okay, so that's gonna be interesting. We'll take a snippet of that. Again, it's not perfect. This is just like we're thinking here. We're trying to think smart. This is not like don't mark my words, like don't yell at me if it's not exactly how it happens. I'm just saying this is like the way you need to think about these things. I haven't traded that in over a year, but now it's a great exercise. So just mark my words on this, but don't hold me to it, please. Okay, boys. On voit le dip a été racheté sur gold. AGPY, magnifique, magnifique, magnifique. On a continué à pousser. Equities sont où? Boom. Donc, we're looking good on that front. Equities dépassé comme on a dit. Gold, on n'est pas sorti du bois encore. On est rendu où avec notre bond? Bond, c'est pas sorti du bois. On print plus de volume à la baisse. Je veux dire, on a l'air de vouloir aller chercher plus de downside, mais je vais attendre. Je vais être patient à l'ouverture le gold perso. Je fais rien jusqu'à temps que l'ouverture elle arrive. À cause que j'ai déjà pris pas mal de profit sur mes trades. Fait que je suis pas en rush. Fait que c'est ça, boys. Est-ce que vous êtes est-ce que vous aimez le petit DOE puis le petit crude oil test run, I guess? Exact, 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 exact. Exact. Fait que je vais.